Hello my YouTube friends, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be a tag video, and it is the if I could only keep one tag. This was a tag that was created by Gooch, and actually it was sort of revived by Gooch because when I watched her video it linked me to a video by Snitch from Beauty News. I love those girls. And apparently this was a tag that circulated sometime around 2015, but Kelly has brought it back, and so I will definitely link her video in the description box down below, as well as the channels that I would like to tag. She didn't tag me obviously, but she did say that if you have a channel that she encourages you to do the tag, and so that's all the invitation I needed. If you're new to my channel, I'm Yori and I do upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so I hope you'll subscribe, ring my bell, join me for some future videos. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into the if I could only keep one tag. So the premise of this video is really simple, and it's that basically you'll choose only one item for your entire collection. So if you only could choose one to use for the rest of your life, hypothetically, which one would it be? And she had 8 categories, which I'll go through one by one. I also wanted to do this video because it was a recommendation from one of my YouTube subscribers. So Tammy, this one is for you as well. I know that you gave me that idea about if I could only choose one item from my entire collection, which one would it be? So I know that this kind of goes along with what you had suggested. My approach to it was going to be a little bit different, but I think this works and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So the first category that Kelly mentioned was a primer, and if you're not new to my channel, you know that I am a dry skin type, and so you would probably think that I would choose a hydrating primer, and I was tempted to do that and choose a hydrating one, but I know that I do take care to moisturize my skin very well before I apply any makeup, and so I'm much more concerned with smoothing out fine lines and wrinkles on my face, and for that reason I chose the YSL Touche Eclat Blur Primer. I like this one as well because it does have a certain luminosity with the little glitter particles that are in the bottle. You can see I've made a little bit of a dent in mine because I would say that this is the most frequently used primer in my collection. I like it because it goes on very smoothly. It has sort of that silicone feel to it, but I feel that it just gives me a very nice smooth canvas for applying my makeup, and so I really enjoy this one, and this would be my pick. Along the same vein, when choosing a foundation, which was the next item on her list, I also have a preference for luminous or very dewy foundations, and also I prefer light to medium coverage at most. I find that if I go with anything full coverage, it has a tendency to settle in my fine lines, and since I am a dry skin type, I can turn into cake face very quickly. So when I went through my foundations, I selected my favorite and the one that I know that I could do with forever if it's the only one that I could have. But unfortunately it doesn't have a very good shade range, and in light of the whole Tarte Shape Tape foundation fiasco that happened, I'm going to share with you what my choice would be, but also give you an alternative for the foundation that I know to be the most similar to it. So the foundation that I absolutely love is by Kogan Do, and this is the Aqua Luminous Foundation. This foundation is like a second skin. It matches my skin tone super well, but the shade range is atrocious. I think they have like 6, and this might be the darkest shade. So definitely not an acceptable shade range, but as far as the quality of the product, it is really good, and I like it because it is light to medium buildable coverage. It has a beautiful luminosity, and it just looks like skin. It evens out any hyperpigmentation that I might have or discoloration, and it looks the most natural on my skin, and so I really love this. The most similar foundation to this that I own would be the MAC Face and Body. Now I know we can only pick one, and my choice is the Kogan Do, but I do want this video to be informative for you as well if you're looking for recommendations, and MAC has a very inclusive shade range. So the MAC Face and Body foundation is a very lightweight foundation, and again it has more of a luminous second skin kind of finish. I use mine in the shade C3. I love this foundation. I think that it's perfect for what I need, and I really seriously considered choosing it, but I think the coverage might be just a little bit more with the Kogan Do, and so I'm recommending the MAC Face and Body if you're looking for something along those lines. For concealer, dark circles are my definite trouble spot. This is where I am a non-negotiable, and so I do like more full coverage concealers like the Tarte Shape Tape, but I do find that those have a tendency to crease on me a lot. I have really crepey under eyes, and so it's sort of a compromise between degree of coverage as well as hydration because I really need both. And my happy medium has always been by Urban Decay, and this is the Naked Skin Concealer. I always recommend this concealer. It's my favorite. It's the perfect mix of hydration and coverage, and if I don't have just enough coverage, all I'll do is go in with a color corrector and then apply this, and then the coverage is just fine. So I really enjoy this product. It's versatile because you can use it if you're wearing a full face of makeup on like a heavier coverage day like today, and it is a concealer I'm wearing, or you can sort of thin it out for more sheer, more natural coverage if you're doing no makeup. And so this would definitely have to be my choice for concealer. The next category on her list was blush, and I had to choose a neutral blush so that I could use it when I'm wearing more colorful makeup as well as when I'm doing something a little more neutral. And so my choice for blush went to Marc Jacobs, and this is the Marc Jacobs Air Blush in the shade Flesh and Fantasy. This is what the blush looks like. So it is a little bit versatile in that you have a lighter region and a darker region, but when you apply this, it's a lot more pigmented than it would imply in the pan. Like right now, just looking at it, looks like it might even be lighter than my skin tone, but it does actually apply like a blush. And I really love how luminous the finish is on this blush. I love that it doesn't emphasize any texture, and it just gives a very neutral flush to the skin. I don't think you can even see the swatch right there, but it's sort of like a beigey rose or peachy rose shade that will really go with absolutely any makeup look, and it's impossible to overdo this blush. You can go in with a very heavy hand, a very light hand. You couldn't possibly overdo it, and it looks beautiful with every makeup look. I really love the Marc Jacobs blushes. I have a couple others in other shades, but I would have to say that this one is my favorite because it's just the most versatile, and I can definitely wear it with an everyday makeup look or something a little bit more bold. Definitely love this one. Her next category was bronzer, and I struggled with the bronzer category. I have two favorites, so I'll mention the runner-up just so that you know, and my runner-up was the Too Faced Bronze Peach Bronzer. If you're not new to my channel, you've seen this on my channel a lot lately. I really love the way this bronzer looks on my skin. It's like the shade is perfect, the smell is amazing, and it blends out so nicely. This is what it looks like. I have finally broken it. It's separated from the container, but I still love it so much. I don't know why they put so much glue in there, plus they put a whole bunch of glue on the backside. I don't know why they did that, but in any case, the only reason why I didn't make this my favorite is because it's a cream bronzer, and so it requires a little bit more care in application. I do love this one, but my definite choice is by Physicians Formula, and this is the butter bronzer, and the proof is in the pan as far as an indication of how much I truly love this bronzer. I like it because it gives you a luminous finish. Again, being a dry skin type, I'm all about the luminosity, and so I like the finish that this bronzer does give. It is the bronzer that I'm wearing today if you want to see how it looks on my skin tone. Even though it looks a little bit light in the pan, it does show up on my skin tone. I have the shade bronzer, and I do know that they've recently released deeper shades as well, which I know was a limitation of the brand previously, so I think that's great. So now more people can enjoy this bronzer. It's really great. The finish is beautiful, and it's at the drugstore, so it's a little bit on the more affordable side. So definitely a favorite. The next category she chose was highlighter, and I struggled with this one as well. The reason why I struggled is because I don't wear makeup every single day, and sometimes I'm just wearing like very basic makeup, but I do always include a highlighter, and so I wanted to choose something that is realistic to my lifestyle, and so I went with Becca Cosmetics, and this one is the Shimmering Skin Perfector, and it's the poured one. This one is in the shade Opal. I have, even though you cannot see any pan in this product, I have quite a dip in this product, and I like it because I can use it on days where I'm not wearing foundation, which is quite often, and I can just apply it to the tops of my cheekbones, and it gives me a really nice natural radiance. But I can also apply it over foundation, and it doesn't disturb the foundation underneath, especially if I use a beauty blender. Like, I'll just dip my beauty blender on there and tap on the tops of my cheekbones, and it gives me a lovely highlight as well. I think that Opal is just a really good shade for my skin tone, and so if I could only use one highlighter, this would be it. The next category in her list was a lip product, and she wasn't specific about what kind of lip product we could choose. Now, I love a nice liquid lipstick for filming, but for every day, I love like a sort of a lip oil. But I needed something versatile, and I think pretty much everyone who does this tag, I suspect, is going to go with something neutral because, again, we definitely want to go in terms of versatility. And so I thought about what lip product I own that would go with absolutely any look that I was doing, and I came up with this one by MAC. It's funny because I've never used this lipstick on my channel, but I've used it plenty in real life, and if you can see, this is all I have left. And for a lip product, for me, with a collection like I have for lip products, this is actually pretty heavily used. This one is in the shade Touch, and I believe it is in a creamy matte formula. I will definitely do a swatch. So you can see that it is a definite nude, but it's a little bit darker of a nude. I can't use really pale nudes because they have a tendency to wash me out. And then I live in Chicago, my lips are always dry, so I can't really pick a liquid lipstick to be my go-to lip product. Like, I was really debating on picking chapstick, to be honest, as my lip product of choice, but I figured chapstick wouldn't go with an eye look like I'm wearing today, and so I wanted to pick something a little bit more formal, I guess, something a little bit more formal, but that would also be comfortable as well. It's in the shade Touch, and it's just the perfect nude for me. It will definitely go with absolutely any eye look that I might be wearing. So this would definitely be my lip product of choice. And last but not least, the eyeshadow palette category. I struggled here. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. You can see my eyeshadow palette shelf there, and I have a lot of other eyeshadows in other areas. If you've seen my makeup collection video, you've seen how many eyeshadow palettes I have. Again, I don't wear makeup absolutely every day, but when I do, I like to go all out. I like to wear colors, so I need something that gives me that option. I can't just choose a basic neutral palette, even though I know for a lot of people those will be very satisfying. But for me, when I actually sit down and take the time to apply my makeup, I want to play with makeup. You know, my face is a canvas and I just want to paint it all up. So I need options. I definitely need something that's appropriate for work and the everyday and more professional situations, but I definitely want the space to be creative. So I debated on choosing some of my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes because her formula is among some of my favorites, but her palettes have a tendency to have like color stories that are very specific. So for example, the Sunset palette is very warm toned, very red and brown toned, and then the Lila palette is very purple and pink. The Star palette is just completely neutral, and so the blue and purple palette, obviously, is blue and purple, the one I got in my lucky bag. So I couldn't really choose any of those if I was only gonna have one. And same for Viseart. I love Viseart shadows, I love their mattes, but their palettes are very specific. Like, there's all matte or all shimmers, and so it'd be very difficult to choose just one of those as my choice. And I know that the new palettes, the Tryst and the Golden Hour, they are smaller palettes with a combination of both, but again, they're not really bold colors, which I really need. So with Viseart and Natasha Denona out of the way, then my next choice, some of you may think Pat McGrath. I'm wearing Pat McGrath on my eyes right now, but her shadows are, her palettes are not really complete palettes. Like, sometimes I have to reach into other palettes for neutral shades like I did today. I'm wearing the Decadence palette and I'm wearing the NARS Loaded palette as well. So anyway, you're probably like, shut up, tell us which palette you chose. So anyway, the eyeshadow palette that I chose is one that I know drives some people crazy, but I love it, and it is the Kat Von D's Satan Sinner palette. I love this thing. It's got everything. Here's what the palette looks like. I'm sure you've seen it many times before, but I love this palette because it has so many different finishes in eyeshadows. You definitely have some warmer neutrals here. You also have some neutral shades, and you have your bright pops of color. So I think that if I were going to restrict myself to one eyeshadow palette in my collection, this would be it. I was gonna pick my Ciate palette, the Fun palette, because it's really nice, but it's a lot smaller. Here, let me grab it so I can show you. This one is the Ciate Fun palette, and I love this one for travel because it does have those neutrals as well as pops of color. But I think that if I were limiting myself to just one palette, the Kat Von D one has a lot more options, and so this would be my choice if I could only pick one. That's everything for this video. This was a lot of fun to film. Let me know if you enjoyed it by giving this video a thumbs up, and definitely comment down below if you decide to do this tag. I'll tag some of my YouTube friends in the description box, but if you have a channel, definitely feel free to do it. Consider yourself personally tagged by me, and definitely let me know when your video is up so I can check it out. If you don't have a channel but you would still like to do the tag, definitely put your choices in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you would choose if you could only choose one from each of these categories. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope to see you again very, very soon on a future video, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Bye-bye.